A drunk player at a convention demands a woman take off her shirt to make a Molotov cocktail. This is how that guy turns a Stranger Things one-shot into the most uncomfortable game ever. So I and a few friends signed up for an indie RPG called Dread at a convention. For those unfamiliar, it's a diceless system where the GM has players pull Jenga blocks whenever we try something risky. If the tower falls over, your character dies. This particular con game promised a crazy story, 10 players, Tetris, Jenga, and blindfolds. So we were pretty excited to join. I mean, that sounds amazing. If you read the title, you will know that the GM themselves did not show up. A rep from the con came in to check attendance and was shocked to learn that the GM had not shown up but promised that they'd contact them. 15 minutes pass and they let us know that the GM is unreachable, but that they're working on a backup. 15 more minutes pass, and finally they bring in a backup GM who was friends with the con organizers. He had agreed to run a different story off the cuff using vanilla Dread rules. Understandably, 2 players leave as they were only interested in the original story or wanted to see the crazy Dread rules we were promised. The rest of us made quick characters for a Stranger Things themed one-shot where we all play background student characters. It's at this point I'll introduce some important characters in the story. My girlfriend, female, 20s, playing the popular girl. My friend, female, 20s, playing an AV club girl, a woman, female, 20s, playing a homeschooled girl, an Asian woman, female, 20s, playing a nerdy boy, and that guy, male, 40s or 50, playing, I don't know, what his character archetype was. That guy, from when we walked into the room, reeked of alcohol and was making jokes about how the large water bottle he periodically sipped from was filled entirely with bourbon. Quick reality check. 92.5% of you watching this aren't subscribed. That means only 7.5% of my audience is getting these stories in their feed. If you're enjoying this chaos, please hit subscribe. It's free and it actually helps me keep making these every single week. Anyway, back to the story. He also made some comments about being friends with a popular DM at the con who we'd had a separate creepy experience with, but that's a horror story for another time. Oh yes please, I would love another horror story. When the game started, he immediately set out to split off from the party and ignored plot in favor of finding food. The adventure continues, and every time one of the women at the table went to pull a block, that guy would heavily criticize their technique. Pull that one. No, stick with that one. Be more aggressive, pull with testosterone, etc. Whenever he pulled, of course, he'd take it nice and slow, of course, because my hands are shaky. I'm an old alcoholic. At this point, girlfriend, friend, and I are looking for ways to knock the tower over so our characters can die, because he's getting on our nerves. I won't go too hard on the GM because he was very kind in stepping in on such short notice, but it seemed like he wasn't familiar with the system because he missed one of the 2 main rules to the system. When girlfriend knocked over the tower, the GM instructed us to rebuild the tower and described the game just continuing. Her character survived. There would be no socially subtle way to leave the table. Meanwhile, in the story of the game, some demon dogs attacked and girlfriend was able to kill one. In character, she reports back. An Asian woman asks in horror, "Why did you kill a dog?" That guy, who has been rambling about how he's been tricking NPCs, PCs into eating drug-laced food, takes a break to say to the Asian woman, "Don't worry, we won't eat the dog." At this point, girlfriend makes an excuse and leaves the table. I stick around because I hadn't heard this comment at the time. A bit later, we're driving in a bus with some monsters chasing us. Friend knocked over the tower, but there continues to be no death, no escape. That guy decides to say, "I want to ask an inappropriate question." DM tells him to go ahead, but that guy says, "No. Not a question for you, it's a question for some of you," as he looks out at the remaining women of the table. The GM, though, moves on. He mostly seems concerned with making sure the adventure fits with the canon of the show, and it seems like we're safe from whatever that question was. 20 minutes later, though, and I guess that guy decides he's waited long enough, he points at friend and homeschooled woman the only people left playing female characters, and says, "I need one of you to tell me which of your characters is more well endowed." There are some uncomfortable chuckles from everyone before I suggest, "I don't think we need to know that. Why don't we just move on?" That guy is too drunk, racist, and misogynistic to pick up on social cues though, and persists. "No, I need one of you to give me an answer. It's important." I try to insist myself. Really, I think we should just move past this. It doesn't seem necessary. That guy hits back with more insistence before Asian woman suggests, "Why are we asking this question when this character's NPC mum is right here?" There's a bit more uncomfortable laughter, but that guy has received his green light to be creepy. "Miss Henderson, I need you to give me your shirt. It's to make a Molotov cocktail." At this point, I decided to just leave because the GM was not shutting this down. I made up some pretty bullshit excuse and headed out. I learned from my friend that apparently not long afterwards, that guy knocked over the Jenga tower and was allowed to die. But he decided to stick around and take a nap in his chair. The game came to an end not long afterwards, about an hour ahead of scheduled end time. The next day, I ran into the two women I didn't know and asked how the rest of the game went for them. All they had to say was, "It was interesting." All that, and I still don't know what Tetris Jenga was supposed to be. Here's the thing about toxic players. They don't just ruin one game, they poison the entire space. That convention had hundreds of people there to celebrate indie RPGs and make new friends. One drunk guy with zero self-awareness turned what should have been a fun Stranger Things one-shot into something these women will probably never forget, and not in a good way. The worst part? Everyone at the table knew something was wrong, but nobody felt comfortable calling it out. And that's exactly how that guys keep getting away with it. If you've dealt with a that guy at your table, drop your story in the comments below and subscribe for more TTRPG horror stories every week.